Arise, Lord Vader, Operation 66, El Ghazi.
Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Sometimes it does feel like Manchester United are being run by the Empire. We've got some interesting updates for you this morning. This El Ghazi story, many of you may know it's not going to happen, but there is an element of truth to it. We'll be talking about that. If you are just waking up and not knowing what's going on, take a deep breath. Man United have been heavily linked to El Ghazi. I'll tell you what he is. It's not a place, it's a footballer. And also Sir Jim Ratcliffe, we sort of missed it yesterday. Interesting quotes coming out from Sir Jim Ratcliffe about his desire to buy Manchester United still, and how it would be an embarrassing failure if he doesn't get hold of them. So he's still very much in the race, and I think it's a nice, well, it's not a nice reminder, it's a reminder of the reality of the situation, which sort of ties in with the sponsor as well. I wouldn't rule Sir Jim Ratcliffe out of the race to buy Man United, is what I'm about to say. But this is what we're talking about this morning. We're going to start off with this El Ghazi story. You may have seen it last night. Chris Wheeler, who is on the show at 4 o'clock today, actually. We've got Chris Wheeler from the Mail. He's been on before, really, really good. He'll be talking to us about what's going on with Sancho, etc., Anthony, transfers. But this story last night started off in the Mail. Loads of people have spoken about it. El Ghazi, formerly of Aston Villa, I think was he at PSV or something like that? He's got offers from Saudi Arabia and Man United linked to him. Now, this is relevant because it just shows the enormity. And look, I think sometimes people get obsessed by one story and don't actually look at why it's happening. What has happened, and we've had this, and I know Laurie Whitwell's spoken about it, so he's probably had it from the same sources as very A-star source close to the club saying that El Ghazi, Man United, it's not happening. Like, you know, it's not happening. What has actually happened here is that it's not fake news. It's not inaccurate news. El Ghazi's been offered to Man United. That's what's happened. Man United can't buy or loan anybody at the moment. They can only bring in free transfers. So if they want to bring in a wide player at the moment, you've got El Ghazi, who's been let go from PSV, so he's free. Jesse Lingard's free. David De Gea can't play on the wing. Idrissi at Sevilla, I think he's been linked to Rangers. He's a winger. He's free. So players like that could be signed for Manchester United because they are free agents. El Ghazi is a free agent. He has been offered to Manchester United. Manchester United have said no. That's someone, I don't know whether they can hear the police. Call it off. It's fine. We're not signing El Ghazi. No one needs to be arrested. So, look, there is an element of truth to this. Chris Wheeler is right. It is not fake news. Man United have been offered him. They've been offered a couple of other players as well. That's the context of the story. But United aren't going to do anything about El Ghazi, so you can calm yourselves down. I think what is the most important thing to gather from this morning is that two things really. One, Man United are looking at options because obviously we don't know what's going to happen with Anthony and Jadon Sancho. So United are looking at options and people are aware of that, and that's why United are being offered options. Personally, I don't know what people think about that. I don't know. Kenny says, has Sancho been removed from the first team? The Jadon Sancho situation, as we reacted to last night, and I don't know that we're going to get anything massive. Well, I do think we will get something massive, actually, but I don't think it's going to be any different from what we were reported last night. The social post of Jadon Sancho is the evidence. If that comes down, I think Sancho backs down. If that stays up, Sancho's not backing down. And if Sancho doesn't back down, Ten Hag and Sancho are still in a disagreement. So we can get leaks, we can get reports, but realistically, I think we all know that we're involved in this story more than we would ever be involved in a normal story, because as long as that social media post is pinned to Jadon Sancho's Twitter account, he ain't going to be playing for Man United. And if he does, I would really seriously question Ten Hag's control at Manchester United. But the El Ghazi thing, I wouldn't be too concerned about. What it does pose the question is, and I'd be very interested to see what people are saying on the show this morning, because I've got my opinions, is that if Sancho is not an option because of, the fallout, and I would agree that you can't really pick him at the moment, and Anthony is certainly not an option. Pellistri is away with Uruguay, probably not going to get back until late this week. You've got a massive game against Brighton, followed up by a massive game against Bayern Munich. What do you actually do? Bruno Fernandes on fire. Yes, the opposition in international football can be a bit shit, but Bruno can only do what he can do. Brilliant for Portugal last night. I see Bruno Fernandes potentially dropping to the right wing and Eriksen dropping in at number 10, but that depends if Amrabat's fit. I mean, we could be in big problems. I know we've had 2 weeks and that helps us with players that are injured, but we could have big problems on Saturday against Brighton. Hi Mark, Jason still has him with Ten Hag as his profile pic on his Twitter. How does that make sense with his pinned post? Jaden still has him with Ten Hag as his profile pic on Twitter. Yeah, I don't know about that, David. But looking ahead to Saturday, are United in the market for a winger? Because actually, they're in a bit of bother. You can't pick Sancho. You can't pick Anthony. Palestri's not back till late. Amrabat might not even be fit. Mount's not going to be fit. What's your midfield three going to be against Brighton? Ideally, Casemiro, Amrabat, Bruno. But if Amrabat's not fit, Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno. And if Bruno's got to go to the right wing, right, what's the midfield three? Scott McTominay's going to play against Brighton because he's had a good game against it for Scotland. It is a worry. It is a worry. And I just don't know whether Palestri will be back in time or trusted enough to go straight into that team. So, yeah, maybe United are looking at options because Mount's injured. Anthony won't be playing. Sancho is sort of on strike, I suppose, in a sense. Look, all I'm going to say is absolutely no. We've seen what happens. I don't know whether anybody... What a video it was last night, by the way. Last night we did a video ranking all of Erik Ten Hag's transfers. It's well worth a watch. It was very interactive. But when you look at the players that have been poor, they're all low knees. United have got to stop doing these stopgap desperation deals. And El Ghazi would be the epitome of a stopgap desperate deal. All the successful signings of Ten Hag are people that we've actually identified and spent money on. All the failures have been the stopgaps, the Butlins, the Sabitzers, the Weghorsts, the Johnny Evans. There are more, and we need to not keep making these mistakes. Front three of Martial, Højlund and Rashi, says United Elijah. Yeah, it's loans and low-level players that we need to avoid, Brian. I agree with you. Rezi says, I'm giving Ten Hag 6 more games to prove he is a good coach. Mate, I don't even know. Who have we got after Bayern Munich? Actually, can I just say, a lot of people are saying you look amazing in that tracksuit. I know. This was a contender for tracksuit bridge at Sidemen. Because it says boss on it. I nearly wore this for the Sidemen charity game, but that's not my style of manager. I'm not a tracksuit manager. I'm a suit manager, so I didn't wear it in the end. Martial to the left wing, Rashford to the right, and Højlund up front, says Benji. I don't think Anthony Martial has the fitness or physique or agility to play on the wing anymore. Low key, clip me if you like, Anthony Martial on the left wing is the best left winger we've had at the club since Cristiano Ronaldo. You can take that. I don't care. Clip it up and start arguing. Anthony Martial is the best left winger we've had at this football club since Cristiano Ronaldo. And Cristiano Ronaldo didn't really play on the left wing as much as the right. So you could say he's the best left winger we've had at the club since Ryan Giggs. I think Anthony Martial on the left wing it's almost been buried by the haters. He was absolutely brilliant off the left wing. I think Martial was a brilliant left winger for a period of time that wasn't a few weeks, probably 2 years. I mean, Robbo says that doesn't say a lot for the left wing then. Oh, Anthony Martial has just become a subject of hate. He's become a subject of ridicule. He's become a flop. But he hasn't been a flop. He's not like Maguire. Maguire's pretty much been an £80 million flop from day one. Anthony Martial actually was a decent player. Now, people are saying Garnacho's better, but I agree with Raymond. Martial was quality at left wing and it's been forgotten. I mean, fucking hell. Sorry. But this is a guy whose debut was at Old Trafford against Liverpool. He put most of their back four on their arse and scored a debut goal against Liverpool at Old Trafford from the left wing. You know what? Have a word with yourself. I think modern agenda almost tries to bury history. Anthony Martial, for a period of time on the left wing, has been the best left winger we've had since Ryan Giggs. It's El Ghazi, says Igor. Thank you very much. But no, the downside of that is there's absolutely no way Martial can play on the left wing now. If he tried to take someone on and twist, he'd knock his hip out. So we can't put Martial on the wing anymore. Injuries have certainly hindered him, says Rezi. Look, we'll be previewing the Brighton game in a couple of days and we'll know a little bit more about injury. But anybody who's putting Jadon Sancho in the starting lineup on Wednesday is very, very, very optimistic. I'd say less than 10% chance of that happening at the moment. Robert McCormack says he was good, but Rashford produced much more. Look, I love Marcus Rashford. It's a personal choice, but I think Anthony Martial as a left winger was better than Rashford. Rashford will have a lot to say about that. I understand it, but I just think Martial was a brilliant left winger. Mourinho ruined Martial. That Sanchez signing destroyed Martial. But look, it is what it is. Injury has ruined him as well. Anyway, look, let's get back to it. The El Ghazi story, not true, but he has been offered to Man United, so it's not completely fake news. He was offered to Manchester United. Whether United considered it or not, I mean, look, at the end of the day, what I will say is, if you've ever played Football Manager, or it doesn't happen in FIFA, if you've ever played Football Manager, the transfer window closes, it's early September, you pick up a few injuries, and then somebody gets in contact with you and says, this guy's available for free. Sometimes you go, it's better than nothing. So I think you can see why Man United have been offered him, but I don't think it's pointless taking him. If we get El Ghazi, I'll question why Pellistri wasn't loaned, says Arthur. You've got to go with Pellistri. That's what you've got to do. And hopefully Ahmad, Garnacho, Rashford, we've got enough people. And look, who knows? Anthony seems to be a daily occurrence. All sorts of stuff going on with Anthony, as I'm sure you saw yesterday. He could be back in a month. He might not be back for a year. So we just don't know with Anthony what's going to go on there. But personally, you know what's a really interesting thing? We're going to be talking about this on the podcast today, and I'm going to be explaining what Goldbridge ball actually means to the idiots. But we're going to talk about this on the podcast today, comparing Man United with Chelsea. Goldbridge Saves Football's out at 2 o'clock, because it's more of a global thing, but it's obviously very personal to us as United fans. What is United's season this year? Like, what are we going to do this year? I think we've had an international break where we all, go and see our family, and, great, that's good. It's generally a positive thing, unless you don't get on with them. Maybe you've mowed the grass, boring things, and we all can't wait for real football to come back. But there is this thing, I think, in every United fan's head at the moment. What's this season about? I can't speak to any United fan that will tell me with any certainty what this season is about. Some people are like me. We'll have to just wait and see. I don't know. I have trust in Ten Hag, but there are big issues at the club that could drag us down. The dressing... One of my big concerns about United at the moment is the dressing room, factually and publicly, is shattered. Like, the team is tired physically and mentally. I don't know why, but it is. And then morale is fractured. You've got players that know the manager don't want them, that are turning up to training. That's creating cliques again. The sale of the club, which we'll talk about in a minute in Sir Jim Ratcliffe's comments. So the actual structure, philosophy and mood around that team at the moment isn't good. Not as good as it was last year. Their start to the season results-wise isn't good. You've got Brighton and Bayern Munich. You lose both those games, you're on a slippery slope. Who we got next after Brighton? I think we've got someone crap at home. Is it like... let me know in the chat. I don't know who we've got. But I think that with regards to what this season's going to be for United, I think we've got Burnley. Good. Palace. We've got Palace. Anthony Martial is definitely our best winger after Giggs. Much better than Rashford, which most of the time don't read the game, says Minnie. Yeah, we've got Burnley away, apparently, after that. Palace or Burnley. I wish we had Luton. I wish we had Luton every week. We'd win the league. But I tell you what, we've got Burnley, then Palace twice. So we've got winnable games, but the next two against Brighton and Bayern are going to be tough. And look, I'll paint a picture for you. United lose to Brighton, United lose to Burnley. Those knives that are out for Ten Hag are out even sharper. We've got to get some positive results. If we can get our best 11 out, De Gea, Varane, Martinez, Casemiro, Amrabat, Højlund, Rashford, Bruno in there, I think we can start to climb the league. And 5th place will probably get us Champions League football this year. I think we're looking at 4th or 5th at the moment. I've always got trust in Ten Hag. He's capable of doing something ridiculous. We were in the same position last year, but this season's really hard to predict, and I think it's going to be really interesting. But look, I don't know whether anybody saw this yesterday. This is really interesting what Sir Jim Ratcliffe had to say about Manchester United, and I apologise first of all because we've normally got our finger on the pulse, And we definitely didn't have our finger on the pulse with this yesterday because we had a lot of other things that we were doing. But look, this is effectively coming out from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, direct quotes around the Manchester United sale that some of you may or may have not seen. But in an interview with Ineos TV talking about the ownership of Manchester United, he's spoken about the takeover process and his fears that his move to buy the club may not succeed. He described the potential failure in buying Manchester United as far too public and excruciating, comments that may suggest he remains hopeful of acquiring the club whom he supported as a child. He also had a Chelsea season ticket, because people in the chat will say that. He goes on to say that the Man United bid would have been unthinkable 2 or 3 years ago if we hadn't had some experiences that we've had. Some quite difficult experiences with Son and Nice. You can't really contemplate acquiring a brand like Manchester United and failing, because the failure is just far too public and excruciating in a deal like that. You know, I think that with regards to that and how you interpret that, I think it's a very big admission that he's still very much in the race to buy Manchester United. And there is this, I think some of the fans at the moment are just very frustrated and they're like, the Glazers aren't going to sell. I'm absolutely 100% sure they're going to sell. But what I'm not 100% sure of, that it's going to be Qatar. And I think at times over the last 8-9 months, we felt it would be Qatar. But we must also remember that there's been times over the last 8-9 months where we've been led to believe it will be Sir Jim. I always would say the longer this goes on, here's a theory for you, right? I'm not saying it's true, but here's a theory for you. People want to know what's going on with the sale. Qatar has gone very quiet, says Terp. Here is what is going on with the sale, in my opinion. Qatar would have bought the club 6 months ago, 4 months ago, 2 months ago, 1 month ago, today. They've got the money. There's the money. The debt gets cleared. Brand new ownership, very similar to what's happening at Newcastle and Man City. Let's move in that direction if the Glazers sell. It's a very quick deal to do. So Jim Ratcliffe doesn't want to buy all of the club, can't buy all of the club, is going to borrow money through Ineos to give to the Glazers to buy half of the club. This is riddled with issues because there are shareholders that would still be at the club that would go, we get a payout if Qatar buy it, but we don't get a payout if you only buy the Glazers out. The Sir Jim Ratcliffe deal effectively elongates the process. And what's happening at the moment? The process is being elongated. Last night, the Athletic start talking about an American investment fund sponsoring Man United. So I'm starting to go, So the sale process has gone quiet. We're now looking to do a sponsorship shirt deal with an American company. So Jim Ratcliffe is going to buy United by borrowing money from America and putting it into Ineos. And that will keep the Glazers in place. Logically, to me at the moment, I still think the Glazers are undecided what they want to do. But I think Joel and Avram would like to stay and work with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And that is a deal that will take time. Excuse me. So that is what I think is the current situation with Manchester United. I think that Sir Jim Ratcliffe, as he said there, is still very much in the race. Glenny Boy says, my interpretation is not that he's not worried about failing to get the club. He fears failure if he gets the club and thinks it won't fail if he does, says Glenny Boy. Well, I think when you've got, look, if I'm trying to buy a Ferrari and somebody else wants to buy that Ferrari, and I think I'm not going to get the Ferrari, and someone asks me about it, I'm probably going to sort of go either no comment or, you know, we'll wait and see what happens. Blah, blah, blah. If I really think I'm going to get it, and I really, really want it, I'm going to say things like, it's unthinkable to think about losing something like that. So publicly, it would be excruciating. So there has to be a level of confidence from Sir Jim. And I know people who speak to the Sir Jim camp and the Qatari camp and the Rain Group camp. And look, Ben Jacobs is one of those people. He's been on the show a few times. There is no update about you're out of the race, you're going to win the race. It's all very much still open. But I think in relation to the sale, I don't even know where I am anymore. There was a time where I was like 90% Qatar were going to do it. There was a time where I thought Sir Jim was going to do it. Right now, I think the Glazers sell, and I still think it goes to Qatar or Sir Jim, but probably I'd say Sir Jim's still got a really good chance. I still think that there's a lot to be said about, you know, I maybe it's the way my mind works in relation to investigation and evidence and everything like that, but I look at things and I see why. And sometimes it's very obvious, like the Jadon Sancho situation. Some people are going, oh, he'll play on Saturday. And I'm like, I don't care what that outlet says or what that outlet says or what that journalist says. He's got a bloody tweet pinned on his social media basically undermining the manager. There's no chance he's playing if that's there on Saturday morning. Now, if it comes down on Wednesday afternoon, maybe he's going to play on Saturday, but that's the path to follow with Sancho. And I think with the sale of United, when you've got someone like Adam Crafton saying that United are in negotiations or talks to do a shirt sponsorship over a few years with an American company, I'm like, if I'm Qatar and I'm buying Man United, I am not happy about them signing a 4, 5, 6-year deal with an American company, because I know for a fact that when I get hold of the club, I can fill that shirt sponsor with something from around the world, maybe the Middle East, for a lot more money. So I think that if United sign off a shirt sponsor and it's American, I would start to get very concerned, because I'd be like, a club that's being sold doesn't do a 5, 6-year shirt deal, because the person who's going to buy it might not be happy. It's like selling your house and, you know, redoing the living room before you move out in green. And then the new owners come in and say, why have you done all that? Like, it's not logical. But where it becomes logical is if you are planning to stay, but bring Sir Jim in, and Sir Jim is happy to do that deal. So, yeah, I think the sale does need to be at the forefront, and we have been living off crumbs. So when Sir Jim Ratcliffe starts talking about it, I think, you know, again, let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at the evidence. And the evidence at the moment is not that good. Having said that, I do think that it's worth saying two things. One, I think United will be sold. And two, I haven't said this for a long time, but Sir Jim Ratcliffe is an enemy of the club. And now if Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to come on the United Stand or do an interview or something like that, please do. We'd love to get your side of the story. And obviously, I think that's very beneficial because we're the biggest fan community in the world. But I'm sorry, Sir Jim. Many United fans feel like this. We want the Glazers out. I said we want the Glazers out, and you are giving them an opportunity to stay. And if Qatar were going to give the Glazers a chance to stay, they'd be an enemy of the club as well. Doing a vanity project deal to get hold of something that you want is not for the betterment of the fans unless you're going to buy all of it. And you clearly haven't got the money to do that. Getting into bed with the Glazers to get control of this football club should never be applauded, in my opinion. Mark, Qualcomm has been partner since 2022, but are now talking about United shirt sponsorship. They started with United to help for better cell service, says Trigger1386. And what about Sir Jim Ratcliffe being a co-owner with Qatar? Well, look, you know, Chris says well said, Mark, but you've got to call it out for what it is. I've got some breaking news coming through here. You've got to call it out for what it is. It's not a good move for United. Right, I've got some breaking news coming here. Oh, God. I mean, so the Manchester Evening News, this is disgusting. Get ready for this. Sit down. This is ridiculous. What is this all about? I reckon that these sort of stories are actually on Google Planner 3 months ago. They've had a ping and gone, let's put this out. Get your lips around this. I nearly said get your tits around this. Get your lips around this. Don't get that mixed up. Listen to this. So Samuel Luckhurst, breaking news, Manchester Evening News. It's not his fault. Man United have, I mean, I can't believe this. I can't speak. Listen to this nonsense. Absolute rubbish. Every year this happens. Man United have provisionally targeted 4 significant signings next summer. United intend to strengthen at full-back, centre-back, central midfield and in attack without going as expected in most departments. I mean, I can't speak. What a load of crap. What a load of nonsense. Who believes this shit? Who believes this crap? You're an idiot. You're a bloody idiot. Who puts a story out like that? Well, we know. But who's leaking that shit? What a load of crap. We've just been to bloody Florence begging for a loan deal with Amrabat because we can't afford 25 million. And now, a week later, we're signing four players, and we've got the arrogance to say that there's going to be major outgoings. What? Like last season? Major outgoings? What are you going to do? Actually sell McTominay for 30 million this year? What are you going to do? Actually get 30 million for Maguire? This bloody club's a joke. I mean, obviously it's not as serious as some of the stuff that's going on, but that's an embarrassment, mate. That's an absolute joke. 4 major signings next year and it's September. Oh, whoop-de-doo. Let's write the season off then. It's all right next year. They said the same thing last September and the September before. Where's the story about significant signings in January? Oh, significant signings, and then you end up with Weghorst. I'm tired. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. It's ridiculous. I'm not even... I can't comment on this. 4 major signings for United in September. I mean, they really do think we are thick. They really do. I can't believe it. United are going to sign 4 players, major players next summer. What, like the 4 major players we're going to buy this summer? Kim Min-jae, Harry Kane and co, Declan Rice. Where's the money coming from? We're broke. We're broke. We're absolutely broke. There's no money. It's empty. We haven't got any money. Old Trafford's rusting. We've got no money. That's, you know, if you want the definition of spin, that is it. Man United, in a year's time, are going to spend loads of money on players. That's like waking up on Christmas Day morning with a pair of socks and your parents saying, next year we're going to get you a PS5. Enjoy your socks. And then a year later, you get another pair of socks. It's just lies. They're trying to con you. It's a con job. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. What I would say is, if we're owned by Qatar next summer, yes, we will make 4 signings. But under the current regime, absolutely not. I can't believe that's been put out today. I can't believe that's been put out. If that is meant to be positivity to shift United fans away from Sancho or Anthony or bad results or whatever, whoever's come up with that plan should be immediately marched out the front of Old Trafford, and every United fan should put them in stocks like that, and we should all be able to throw custard pies and tomatoes at them. Obviously, health and safety, they can wear goggles. We don't want any injuries, but they can be humiliated with custard pies that don't hurt them physically, but make them realise emotionally they are a turbo prat. That's not PR. That's just rubbish. I can't believe that. And Luckhurst should be better than that. I hope he's put in his article, I don't believe it, because that's terrible. That's terrible. Absolute rubbish. And the thing about that is, who's it coming from and how is it even evident? How is it evidential? United are going to buy 4 major players next summer and they're going to sell a load of players. We've just literally 2 weeks ago watched United begging for loan deals and unable to sell Donny, McTominay, Maguire and many other players. And we're meant to go, it's okay, this time next year. What are we, bloody Only Fools and Horses FC? Del Boy, this time next year we'll be millionaires, but for now we're going to sit there drinking piss. It's a joke. I can't believe it. I really can't believe that sort of stuff actually irritates me more than the Sancho Ten Hag argument, which is real. At least that's real. It might not be enjoyable, but it's real. You know, it's like looking out your window and seeing a couple have an argument, isn't it? You know, they start swearing at each other. You know, it's interesting and it's real. I don't like it. I'm probably going to have to call the police. Don't get involved. But it's better than watching it on EastEnders, which you know is fake. Morning, Mark. This club needs major investment now, not next year. Plus, my dad sadly passed away. Hopefully the funeral will be today. Please pray for him. Thank you, says Mohammed. That's been an ongoing story, actually. That's real. That's really sad. It's been up and down with Mohammed's dad. He wasn't very well. Then he was getting better, and now he's passed away. It's very sad news. So thoughts and, you know, that's real. That's real, and that's very sad, Mohammed. Thoughts go with you. It's amazing how you can combine the sad passing of your dad and a very accurate opinion on what the club needs now and not next year. So topical and sad, which you don't always get. Very sad news, Mohammed. Lots of people putting nice stuff in there. People still going about Darth Vader. Apparently I said Operation 66 and not Order 66. I tell you what, I like Star Wars, but there's a level of Star Wars fan that really shouldn't be allowed on the internet. I watched the Star Wars film once, right? And somebody got stabbed with a lightsaber and survived. And I said, that's unrealistic. And I absolutely got ridiculed on a forum that I wasn't even on. They started an actual category saying Goldbridge knows nothing. And it was basically because on a video, I'd said, you can't survive a stab to the chest with a lightsaber. And somebody said, it's so hot, it would instantly cauterize all the major organs, and therefore you'd just be able to carry on as normal. And I felt like going, if a lightsaber existed, it should be tried out on these people because they're so confident that they would live from a lightsaber to the gut. But there you go. Mohammed said he passed peacefully. There we go. I wouldn't say that's great news, but it's a consolation, isn't it? And rest in peace, Mohammed's dad. Anyway, look, that's incredible. That's absolutely incredible news in relation to what we've seen there. Bit more information. United of West Ham had separate bids of 30 million rejected for Scott McTominay and Harry Maguire, both set for departures next year unless their playing prospects suddenly improve. United have also been monitoring Brighton striker Evan Ferguson. Sources believe it is possible Ferguson could be transferred next year. Oh my God! It gets worse. It's getting bloody worse. Why don't we put fucking Mbappe in there as well? Why don't we say that we're going to get gold-plated toilets for people to sit down and have a shit at half-time at Old Trafford? Guess what? When you sit down at your seat, a big pipe's going to come down and give you free drinks of beer or Coke or water, depending on what you like. Get free burgers. I mean, it's just nonsense. It's Manchester United and football fans in general are clever. They're not thick. You can't say the Glazers are still in charge, the club's terrible, we've completely messed up everything we've done this summer, we've had a bad start to the season, there's division in the dressing room, but don't worry, Evan Ferguson's going to come to us next year, we will sell McTominay and Maguire next year. I mean, just rubbish, absolute rubbish. Where are we going to get £150 million to sign Evan Ferguson? I tell you what, remove your head from your arse and employ clever people instead of thick people, because thick people talking to clever people, this is what happens. United fans aren't stupid. They're protesting, they're sitting in, they're pissed off, they're not stupid. It is September, we've had a bad start to the season, we had a bad transfer window, and you're trying to preach that you're going to sign Evan Ferguson next summer, who's just scored a bloody hat-trick, and Brighton have just sold a CDM for 100 million. Oh, yeah, we reckon we'll get Evan Ferguson next year. He'll probably have scored 30 goals and be the hottest property in the world. But, yeah, we think we'll do a deal. Opening offer, Harry Maguire and 10 million. Should get it done. Brighton ain't bloody stupid. They'll start the bidding at 130 million. Chelsea will buy him, and United will be going, Weghorst scored a goal against Ireland. What? I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe people waste a tree on that. Nonsense. A tree died for that. A fucking tree died for that. What are we talking about? Bloody hell. I tell you what, when I finish this stream, I'm going to put a tweet out that's complete and utter crap. And I'm going to go, which is normal for me, I'm going to put out a tweet saying next year Man United's plan to sell Harry Maguire and Scott McTominay for 60 million, which we could have done this summer. And next summer, we're going to buy, I'm trying to think of something that's absolutely ridiculous. We're going to buy Jude Bellingham. Although he's loving it at Real Madrid, we've got a feeling he really wants to come and play for Manchester United under the Glazers, and money won't be an object. Yeah, unbelievable. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I'm stunned. I'm absolutely stunned by that. Oh. I feel like it's April the 1st. Is that actually true? I mean, I'm getting this on a WhatsApp. Am I being scammed here? Is this just a wind-up or what? Goes to Twitter. Yep, Sancho's still got it pinned. Let's have a look. Yep, it's true. It's actually true. Unbelievable. Fucking hell. What a joke. I mean, you have to question Who thought that was a good idea to leak? And as people said in the quote, as people are saying in the chat, this is the same journalist that told us that Amrabat wasn't coming to United, and his source pulled a funny face when he mentioned Amrabat. Apparently, when this journalist asked Man United about Amrabat, they went like this. What, you know, they pulled a funny face. So I wouldn't necessarily believe it at all. Someone says, can you confirm it with Fabrizio? Fabrizio wouldn't have his name on shit like that. Because anybody could say that. I could say, next summer, Arsenal plan to spend £250 million on Arteta's revolution. It doesn't mean anything. It's 12 months away, and he's just spent £200 million, so he probably will spend another £200 million. We've just started the bloody season. I don't want to talk about next summer. What? That's my point. One, it won't happen unless we get bought by Qatar. But two, I don't want to talk about next season. I don't want to talk about next summer. You know, I don't want, it's stupid. I can't, I'm going to go. I'm getting hot. Right. Anyway, look, I really enjoyed the show this morning. I actually do think that those people who, you know, we get way more viewers when it's not the international break, but I actually think you miss some of the best content because you know, last night's show was brilliant, ranking the transfers, and I've enjoyed that. But there we go. Yeah, breaking news there. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash the like on the video and subscribe. Don't forget, we've got Chris Wheeler on the show today, and we'll be censoring him before he comes on because I'm not having anything about next summer transfer windows and Evan Ferguson. I've never heard such bollocks in all my life. Thanks for watching. Take care. You're all legends, and I'll speak to you soon.